Chapter 16. Spitman versus Chainsaw. Guess who wins? I stood with 4 gods at the crest of a hill, next to the ruins of a thatched hut. Odin leaned on a thick oaken staff, chainmail glinting under his blue travel coat. A spear was trapped across his back. A sword hung at his side. His one good eye gleamed under the shade of his blue wide-brimmed hat. With his grizzled beard, eye patch, and assorted weapons, he looked like a guy who couldn't decide whether to go to a Halloween party as a wizard or a pirate. Next to him stood Heimdall, the guardian of the Bifrost Bridge. Smartphones must not have been invented yet, because he wasn't doing his usual thing of taking pictures every 5 seconds. He was dressed in armor of thick white wool and 2 swords sheathed in an X across his back. Gjallir, the horn of doomsday, dangled from his belt, which didn't strike me as very safe. Anybody could have run up behind him, blown the horn, and started Ragnarok as a practical joke. The third god, my father, Frey, knelt next to the ashes of a campfire. He wore faded jeans and a flannel shirt, though I didn't see how those clothes could have been invented yet. Maybe Frey was a medieval beta tester for REI. His blonde hair swept across his shoulders. His bristly beard glowed in the sunlight. If there had been any justice in the world, the thunder god Thor would have looked like this, blonde and handsome and regal, not like a muscle-bound, red-headed fart machine. The 4th god I had never met, but I recognized him from Njord's holographic show and tell, Kvasir, the living peace treaty between the Aesir and Vanir. He was a handsome guy, considering that he originated as a cup of divine spit. His dark, curly hair and beard rippled in the breeze. Homespun robes enfolded him, giving him the Jedi Master vibe. He knelt next to my father, his fingers hovering over the charred remnants of a campfire. Odin leaned toward him. "What do you think, Kvasir?" That question alone told me how much the gods respected Kvasir. Normally, Odin did not ask for the opinions of others. He simply gave answers, usually in the form of riddles or PowerPoint presentations. Kvasir touched the ashes. "This is Loki's fire, all right. He was here recently. He's still close by." Heimdall scanned the horizon. "I don't see him anywhere in the 500-mile radius. Unless... No, that's an Irishman with a nice haircut." "We must catch Loki," Odin grumbled. The flighting was the last straw. He must be imprisoned and punished. "A net," Kvasir announced. Frey scowled. "What do you mean?" "See? Loki was burning the evidence." Kvasir traced a barely discernible pattern of crossed lines in the ashes. "He was trying to anticipate our moves, considering all the way we might capture him. He wove a net, then quickly burned it." Kvasir rose. "Gentlemen, Loki has disguised himself as a fish. We need a net." The others looked amazed, like, "Holmes, how did you do that?" I waited for Kvasir to cry, "The game's afoot!" Instead, he shouted, "To the nearest river!" and strode off, the other gods hurrying after him. My dream changed. I saw flashes of Kvasir's life as he traveled the 9 worlds, advising the locals on everything from farming to childbirth to tax deductions. All mortal beings loved him. In every town, castle, and village he was greeted like a hero. Then one day, after filling out some particularly difficult tax forms for a family of giants, he was on the road to Midgard when he was stopped by a pair of dwarves, stunted, warty, hairy little guys with malicious smiles. Unfortunately, I recognized them, the brothers Fjallir and Gjallir. They'd once sold me a one-way boat ride. According to Blitzen, they were also notorious thieves and murderers. "Hello," Fjallir called to Kvasir from the top of a boulder. "You must be the famous Kvasir." Next to him, Gjallir waved enthusiastically. "Well met! We've heard wonderful things about you." Kvasir, being the wisest being ever created, should have known enough to say, "Sorry, I gave at that office," and keep walking. Unfortunately, Kvasir was also kind. He raised his hand in a greeting. "Hello, good dwarves. I am indeed Kvasir. How may I help you?" Fjallir and Gjallir exchanged glances, like they couldn't believe their luck. Well, you can be our guest for dinner." Gjallir gestured to a nearby hillside, where the entrance to a cave was covered with curtains of ragged leather. We are not interested in murdering you, Fjollir promised, or stealing your stuff, or draining your blood, which probably has incredible magical properties. We simply want to show you our hospitality. Much appreciated, Kvasir said, but I am expected in Midgard tonight. Many humans need my help. Oh, I see, Fjollir said. You like helping people? He said it in the way one might say, you like raw beef? Well, as it happens, we're having a terrible time with our, quarterly estimated taxes. Kvasir frowned in sympathy. I see. Those can be difficult to calculate. Yes, Fjollir clasped his hands. Could you help us, O wise one? This was like the part in every horror movie when the audience yells, Don't do it! But Kvasir's compassion overcame his wisdom. Very well, he said. Show me your paperwork. He followed the dwarfs into their cave. I wanted to run after him, to warn him what was going to happen, but my feet remained rooted to the ground. Inside the cave, Kvasir began to scream. A few moments later, I heard the sound of a chainsaw, then liquid gurgling into a large cauldron. If I had been able to throw up in my sleep, I would have. The scene shifted one last time. I found myself in the front yard of a 3-story mansion, one in a line of colonials, facing a public green. It might have been Salem or Lexington, one of those sleepy pre-revolution towns outside of Boston. White painted columns flanked the house's entrance. Honeysuckle bushes filled the air with sugary perfume. An American flag fluttered on the porch. The scene was so bucolic, it could have been Alfheim if the sunlight had been a little harsher. The front door swung open, and a skinny figure tumbled down the brick steps as if she had been thrown. Alex Fierro looked about 14, maybe 2 or 3 years younger than when I met her. A trickle of blood ran from her left temple. She crawled down the front walk on her hands and knees, her palms shredded from baking her fall, and leaving dabs of blood across the cement like sponge painting. She didn't look scared so much as bitter and angry, with tears of frustration in her eyes. In the doorway of the house, a middle-aged man appeared. Short, dark hair streaked with gray, pressed black slacks, shiny black shoes, a white dress, shirt so crisp and bright it hurt my eyes. I could imagine Blitzen saying, "You really need a splash of color, sir." The man had Alex's petite build. His face was handsome with the same harsh, angular way, like a diamond you could admire but not touch without getting cut. He shouldn't have been scary. He wasn't big or strong or tough-looking. He dressed like a banker. But there was something terrifying about the set of his jaw, the intensity of his stare, the way his lips twitched and tightened across his teeth as if he hadn't quite mastered human expressions. I wanted to put myself between him and Alex, but I couldn't move. In one hand, the man hefted a ceramic object, the size of a football, a brown and white ovid. I saw that it was a bust of 2 different faces from side by side. "Normal?" The man threw the ceramic sculpture at Alex. It shattered on the walkway. "That's all I want from you. To be a normal kid. Is that so damn hard?" Alex struggled to her feet. She turned to face her father. A mauve skirt hung to her knees over black leggings. Her green, sleeveless top had given her arms no protection from the pavement. Her elbows looked like they'd been struck by a meat tenderizer. Her hair was longer than I'd ever seen it. A green ponytail sprouting from her black roots like a flame from Megir's hearth fire. "I am normal, father," she hissed the word as if it were the most twisted insult she could think of. "No more help." His tone was hard and cold. "No more money. I don't want your money." "Well, that's good, because they're going to my real children." He spat on the steps. "You had so much potential. You understood the craft almost as well as your grandfather. And look at you." "The art," Alex corrected. "What?" "It's art, not craft." Her father waved in disgust at the broken ceramic pieces. That is not art. It's trash." The sentiment was clear, even if he didn't say it. You have chosen to be trash, too. Alex glared at her father. The air between them turned dry and bitter. Both seemed to be waiting for the other to make a definitive gesture, to apologize or give in, or to cut the thread between them forever. Alex got no such resolution. Her father shook his head in dismay, as if he couldn't believe his life had come to this. Then he turned and went inside, slamming the door behind him. I woke with a start. "What?" "Relax, sleepy," Alex Firo stood over me. Today's Alex, wearing a raincoat of such bright yellow I wondered if our ship had begun to assimilate her. The banging sound I'd heard in my dream had her been dropping a full canteen next to my head. She lobbed an apple at my chest. "Breakfast," she said, "and also lunch." I rubbed my eyes. I could still hear the voice of her father and the smell of honeysuckle in the front yard. "How long was I out?" "About 16 hours," she said. "You didn't miss much, so we let you sleep. But now it's time." "For what?" I sat up in my sleeping bag. My friends moved around the deck, tying off lines and securing the oars. Cold drizzle hung in the air. Our longship was moored at a stone embankment on a river lined with brick townhouses, not too different than those back home in Boston. "Welcome to Jorvik," Halfborn glowered, "or as you modern folk call it, York, England."